Welcome to Good Talk English Podcast.
Imagine bringing an animal right into your home. You know, you feed it, your kids are petting it.
Right. It basically becomes a pet.
Yeah, exactly. You make sure it's comfortable and you treat it with this really profound gentleness.
Mm-hmm.
But you do all of this knowing with like absolute certainty that in just a few days, you are going to sacrifice it.
Yeah, from the outside, it sounds like an impossible emotional contradiction.
Totally. I mean, how do you intentionally cultivate love for something that you know you have to let go of?
It's a massive psychological paradox. And yet it's the exact emotional space that, millions of people step into every single year.
Which is exactly what we are exploring in today's deep dive. We're looking at the profound significance of Eid al-Adha, which is widely known as Bakrid.
Right.
And to do this, we're unpacking a highly viewed video. It's by Islamic Kids Stories, and it's titled, "Why Do Muslims Celebrate Eid al-Adha? The True Story of Bakrid Explained."
And, if you think a children's video is just going to give you this watered-down, simplistic summary,
You'd be completely wrong.
yeah, far from it. The story actually provides a surprisingly sophisticated lens. It doesn't just, list historical facts on a calendar.
Right.
It walks us through one family's lived experience. It forces us to look at how these ancient, monumental concepts of faith and sacrifice, how they actually play out in a modern living room.
Exactly. So our mission for you today isn't just to memorize a holiday. We want to extract the core human themes from this story. Faith, sacrifice, kindness, and sharing.
Because understanding Eid al-Adha really means understanding how you build a bridge between an ancient existential test of faith and a modern family sitting together, passing plates of food across a dinner table.
Okay, so to understand that bridge, we really have to start with the foundation. The video anchors the entire holiday in the ancient story of Prophet Ibrahim.
Right, and the narrative immediately introduces a situation of just immense gravity.
It really does. I mean, Prophet Ibrahim is described as a man of deep faith, but he is handed what can only be described as the ultimate test.
Yeah, Allah asks him to sacrifice the thing he loves most in this entire world.
Which is his beloved son.
Exactly.
I always find that part of the story arresting. It's just heavy. To a modern ear, the sheer weight of that request is almost incomprehensible.
No, absolutely.
But the story focuses heavily on Prophet Ibrahim's reaction. There is no bargaining.
None at all.
He doesn't try to negotiate or, find a loophole. The narrative emphasizes that he was ready to obey without any hesitation.
It's framed as a demonstration of complete, unquestioning trust and submission. And we have to pause on what that lack of hesitation actually means.
Right.
It's not portrayed as a lack of love for his son. It's portrayed as this terrifyingly complete alignment of his will with the divine.
But then comes the crucial moment, right? The pivot upon which this entire holiday rests.
Right, how the story resolves.
Yeah.
Just as the sacrifice is about to happen, Allah intervenes.
Yeah.
In his mercy, he replaces the son with an animal.
But the takeaway the story gives us isn't just, phew, that was a close call.
No, not at all. What's fascinating here is that the lesson drawn is incredibly specific. The story states that it is not the blood or the meat of the animal that reaches him. It's our intention, our faith, and our willingness to sacrifice.
Okay, let's unpack this because that distinction completely reframes what a sacrifice actually is.
It really does.
Because if it's not about the physical meat or the blood, then the act itself is just a vehicle. It's like a physical mirror for a spiritual posture.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
I'm trying to think of how we experience this in our own lives, obviously on a much, much smaller scale.
Yeah.
Think about the concept of ego. When you are deeply attached to something, a career, a status, maybe a relationship.
It becomes a part of your identity?
Exactly. It becomes your identity. To willingly let go of that, to strip away the thing you are most attached to, that requires a massive internal shift.
Right.
So the story of Ibrahim is essentially the absolute highest stakes version of letting go of your deepest attachment.
That's a really solid way to frame it. The physical act is merely the proof of the internal state.
Yeah.
So the holiday, then, isn't a celebration of a tragedy or even a near tragedy. It's a celebration of the triumph of that internal devotion.
Wow.
It marks the moment when a human being proved that their intention and their faith were stronger than their most profound earthly attachment.
Which brings us completely out of the ancient past and right into the present. Because that historical emphasis on intention and obedience, it doesn't just sit in a history book. In the video, we see how it translates directly into very physical, modern-day preparations.
Right, the ancient obedience of Prophet Ibrahim actually manifests in the mundane details of a modern household preparing for a holiday.
Yeah, the video sets the scene by establishing the timing. So Eid al-Adha takes place on the 10th day of Dhul-Hijjah.
And for those unfamiliar, Dhul-Hijjah is the 12th and final month of the Islamic lunar calendar.
Right.
And it's also the month when the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca takes place.
Wow, so the holiday arrives right at the culmination of this massive global pilgrimage.
Exactly. But from that grand global context, the story immediately draws us into a very relatable domestic reality.
Yeah, the flurry of family activity, you have the days leading up to Eid, and the house is just buzzing.
Oh yeah, they're making plans, they're cleaning from top to bottom.
And there's this moment where they are out shopping, and the child is eyeing this beautiful blue outfit, really wanting it.
I love that part.
Right, and the parent does that classic grounded parental move. They say, slowly, slowly, you'll buy what we need.
It's such a human moment.
It really is. They are gearing up for a massive spiritual milestone, but they are still dealing with an excited kid who just wants a shiny new outfit.
Yeah, and they are stringing up lights, and the dad makes a point to say that it isn't just about making the house look pretty.
Right, it's about expressing joy and gratitude.
So the physical environment is basically being curated to match the required spiritual state. But the narrative introduces a major shift in the atmosphere when the animal for Korbani, the sacrifice, actually arrives at the house.
And this is where we get back to that emotional paradox we talked about at the very beginning.
Yes.
The dad brings home a goat, and it's not hidden away in the backyard.
No, it's brought right into the family dynamic.
Exactly. The child is interacting with it, and the parents deliberately foster a relationship built on compassion.
Which is so interesting.
Yeah, the mom tells the child, it trusts us, be gentle. And the dad follows up with the line that really anchors the whole concept. He says, even sacrifice begins with kindness and love.
It's such a profound statement, and it completely disrupts the way we typically think about utility.
How so?
Well, think about it. If you know an animal is destined for sacrifice, the human instinct is often to detach, to treat it as an object.
Right. I think most people would naturally want to put up an emotional wall. Like, if I know this is going to end in a sacrifice, I wouldn't want my kid getting attached. I wouldn't want to get attached myself. It feels like you are just setting yourself up for pain. So how do you reconcile being commanded to treat the animal with profound gentleness and love, knowing what comes next?
You reconcile it by looking at the goal of the sacrifice itself.
Okay.
If you detach, if you treat the animal coldly or as a mere transaction, you are protecting yourself. You're avoiding the emotional cost.
Ah, I see.
But if there is no emotional cost, then it ceases to be a sacrifice. It just becomes an administrative task.
Wow.
The kindness is literally a prerequisite for the sacrifice to be valid. And the video illustrates this beautifully when the family is cleaning the house.
Oh, right. The kid says something, right?
Yeah, the child, who is absorbing all of this, asks the dad, even our hearts, right?
That line stopped me in my tracks. Even our hearts, right? It shows the kid is really connecting the dots between the physical sweeping of the floors and the internal state required for the day.
Precisely. A clean heart is required. If you are cruel to the animal or if you treat it with indifference, your heart isn't clean. Your intention is corrupted. So the gentleness shown to the animal ensures that the heart remains in a state of compassion.
That makes so much sense.
It guarantees that when the moment of sacrifice comes, it actually means something. It's mirroring the pure, difficult intention that Prophet Ibrahim had to muster.
So by the time the actual day arrives, the family hasn't just been buying clothes and sweeping floors. They've been physically and emotionally tuning themselves to experience the weight of the holiday. And all of that preparation culminates the moment the moon is sighted. That sighting acts as like the starting gun.
It really does.
It launches them into a day that has to balance immense overflowing joy with a very real heavy gravity.
And the transition into the morning of Eid captures that joy perfectly. I mean, the story describes the air as electric.
Yeah.
The family wakes up early, they put on those new clothes.
Which symbolizes a fresh start,
Yes.
right?
Right, happiness and togetherness.
Yeah.
They head to the mosque to pray and thank Allah, and the community is united. Everyone is greeting each other with Eid Mubarak, which essentially translates to blessed feast or blessed festival.
It's this massive wave of communal joy, but, the video doesn't just ride that wave of celebration and ignore the core event.
No, it doesn't shy away from it.
It walks right up to the qurbani, the sacrifice itself. And this was the part of the narrative I found incredibly compelling because, again, this is a story designed to explain the holiday to kids.
Right.
Right at the moment of the sacrifice, the child plainly and honestly admits, but it feels sad.
It's a completely unfiltered, natural human reaction to loss.
It is. And think about how a lot of modern parenting or even just modern culture deals with sadness.
Oh, we usually try to run away from it.
Exactly. The instinct is usually to sanitize it or distract from it. If a kid is sad, we want to immediately say, hey, don't be sad. Look at all the fun stuff. Look at the decorations.
Yeah, we want to rush past the negative emotion.
But the dad in the story doesn't do that. He doesn't scold the child or tell them to cheer up. He meets the sadness with a lot of gentleness.
He really does.
He validates it and says, it's about faith, my child, and trusting Allah completely.
And the father doesn't dismiss the sadness because ultimately the sadness is the point.
Right.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, acknowledging that sadness is what makes the sacrifice authentic, think back to the foundation with Prophet Ibrahim.
Okay.
If sacrificing his son didn't cause him any emotional agony, it wouldn't have been a profound test of faith.
That's a really good point.
By allowing his child to feel sad over the goat, the father is teaching them that loss. And the pain of that loss is an inherent part of true sacrifice. It's what gives the act of trusting Allah completely its actual weight.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, the sadness highlights the value of the thing you are giving up.
Exactly.
If it doesn't cost you anything emotionally, you aren't really sacrificing anything, You're just discarding something. By letting the child sit in that sadness for a moment, they are learning the actual depth of the tradition, not just going through the motions.
And what's crucial about the structure of the holiday, at least as it's shown in the story, is that this moment of gravity, the sacrifice and the sadness that accompanies it,
Yeah.
it isn't the end of the observance.
Right.
It is the catalyst for the next phase.
Right.
The sacrifice unlocks the core communal action of Eid, which is sharing.
Right. So the intention of the heart has been tested and proven. The sacrifice is complete. And now the physical result of that, the meat, becomes the mechanism for generosity.
Beautifully said.
The child looks at the meat and asks, what do we do now? And the mom explains that they share it with everyone, family, friends, and especially those in need.
It's not just a private family barbecue.
No, the entire point of a sacrifice is to distribute the results outward.
It transforms a deeply personal internal act of obedience into an external, tangible blessing for the community.
Yeah.
The sacrifice ensures that people who might not otherwise have access to this kind of meal are fed and included in the celebration.
And you see the child actively processing this shift. They watch the meat being handed out. They watch the reactions of the people receiving it, and they say, they look happy because we share. It feels good.
Right.
And the mother responds, that's kindness. That's true Eid. She's explicitly connecting the feeling of joy not to what they acquired, but to what they gave away.
It's a very practical lesson in empathy, but, the story takes it one step further with the tradition of Eid.
Yes. Here's where it gets really interesting. Amidst all the celebration and the amazing smells of the special Eid food, the child is given Eid.
Which is a traditional gift, usually money, given to children on the holiday.
Right, but it doesn't just come in an envelope with a pat on the head. The parents hand the child the Eid with a very specific instruction. They say, use it wisely, share some too.
And that instruction completely changes the nature of the gift. It's not just a reward for being good during the holiday.
Exactly. I love this detail because throughout the entire video, the child has essentially been an observer.
Mm-hmm.
They watch the parents clean the house. They watch the dad bring home the goat and show it kindness. They watch the adults distribute the meat to the community.
Yeah, they've just been taking it all in.
But the second they are handed that Eid and told to share some too, they are no longer just a spectator. They are being given their own agency.
That's right.
They now have the resources to practice the exact same generosity they just spent the whole day watching their parents perform.
It's literally the passing of the moral torch. The child is being invited to participate in the framework of the holiday on a scale that makes sense for them.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't sacrifice a goat, but they can choose to share their gift. If you look at the progression we've discussed, it's quite remarkable.
It really is.
You start with this massive, heavy, philosophical test of Prophet Ibrahim. Then it scales down to a modern father treating an animal with compassion. And finally, it scales down even further to a child deciding to share a small portion of their gift money. The narrative shows how these giant concepts of faith and sacrifice filter all the way down into everyday lived morality.
And it all results in a very specific emotional payoff at the end of the day. The story leaves us with a really quiet, peaceful scene.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ending.
All the bustling energy of the morning, the heavy emotional weight of the Qurbani, the loud joy of the community feast, it all settles down.
Right.
The child reflects on the day and says, "Today was fun, the best Eid ever. Stay grateful, alhamdulillah."
And alhamdulillah, for listeners who might not know, is an Arabic phrase that translates to praise be to God. It's an expression of deep, fundamental gratitude.
The parents tuck the child into bed, and they notice how peaceful the child looks. The obedience, the confrontation with sacrifice, the act of giving it all resolves into this quiet, settled spirit of gratitude. And right at the very end, the child asks one last question. "Dad, what is Eid?" And the father gives this summary that basically serves as the thesis for the entire experience. He says, faith, kindness, love, and sharing. That is Eid.
It takes the little square on the calendar and fills it with the very best of what human beings are capable of.
Think about the territory we've covered today. We started with the intense psychological paradox of loving what you must sacrifice.
Right.
We looked at how an ancient, monumental test of faith translates into sweeping the floors of a modern home. We confronted the necessity of sadness and loss in making a sacrifice real.
And we saw how that sacrifice explodes outward.
Exactly. Into a community-wide network of sharing, turning personal devotion into social welfare. It's an incredible journey from intention to action to community.
And that journey raises a compelling question that stretches far beyond the specific holiday.
Oh.
Well, the family in the story prepared for a physical sacrifice to honor an ancient test of faith, right? Giving up something valuable to prove their intention and feed their neighbors.
Right.
When you look at your own day-to-day life, what is something beloved that you hold on to?
Oh, wow.
It could be your time, your surplus resources, your need to always be right, or even your comfort zone.
Yeah.
What is that beloved thing which, if you were genuinely willing to sacrifice it or share it, might bridge the gap between you and your neighbors and lead you to that same profound, peaceful sense of gratitude?
That is the perfect question to leave you with. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it helped illuminate the incredible depth and humanity behind the celebration of Eid al-Adha. Keep looking past the surface of things, keep asking questions, and most importantly, stay curious. We will see you next time.